He's not that casual about it. I'm just casual.
Welcome to Stargazing, a Stargate gazing podcast. I'm your host, Mary.
And I'm your other host, Kathy.
And each week we review an episode of Stargate alternating between SG-1 and Atlantis. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going okay. How are you doing?
Okay. Busy, but okay.
Yeah.
It was a hectic week. Too many meetings, and that threw off my entire schedule for work, and everything is just too busy. I don't like it.
No. Meetings are dumb.
Agree.
Yeah.
How are you? How was your week?
Okay. As I mentioned, I wasn't feeling very well towards the end of the week. I got some sleep, so that's helped.
That is good.
So hopefully it's just that.
Hopefully? Why don't you sleep enough?
Because I get distracted and then forget to go to bed.
Set a reminder to go to bed.
I would honestly probably ignore it. Well, that's how I do.
That's dumb.
I know. I ignore a lot of reminders I get. Not the best, but that's okay.
Sleep's important.
I know.
Your entire health relies on your good sleep.
Boo. Just do away with it.
But sleep is nice. Gives you a break from having to think about crap.
Does it?
Usually?
I don't know. I feel like I think a lot while I'm sleeping.
That's bizarre. Maybe you're not sleeping soundly enough.
Maybe not.
Might want to get that checked.
Maybe.
I did a sleep study. Turns out that I don't breathe good when I'm sleeping.
That's not good. I feel like breathing is more foundational than sleep even.
It is. I don't have full-on apnea, but I just apparently start breathing too shallowly when I'm sleeping.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Is there something to combat that, or...?
It depends on if it's like a deviated septum or a problem with my throat. So the ENT is my next stop.
Gotcha.
Ear, nose, and throat doctor, in case anyone doesn't know what that means.
Whoop, whoop.
Woo! Everything's falling apart.
Ah!
But hopefully I'll figure out how to sleep better myself. I get into bed at a good time, but I still just wake up exhausted.
That's not great.
No.
Not at all.
Indeed. You know what would be nice is maybe being put into stasis for a while. That would probably be a good sleep.
I think so. I mean, these guys seem pretty alert for people who just woke up from hundreds of years of sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Must be pretty nice.
Right?
Who are these guys that we are talking about, and what is this episode?
These guys are some aliens trapped in a ship on a moon.
That's no moon.
And this episode is Stargate Atlantis Season 3, Episode 16, The Ark. We start the episode with ShRRT in a spacesuit in some ship, and it's having trouble. He says he's initiating separation maneuvers. Didn't work. Uh-oh. He's gonna have to write it down, he says. I found this scene completely unnecessary to this episode. I thought it was dumb. I don't think it added anything to later. But then we jump back to before that, 8 hours before.
My guess is that they added that on because they had too much time left.
Probably. They seem to do that quite a bit.
Yeah. I don't know if you said that before, but my mute was apparently on and I thought I was talking.
Oh, no. No, I didn't hear you. Or I didn't say that. They had to do that a lot for Columbo episodes I was reading too. This is so off topic, but I've been watching Columbo for the first time, but the network wanted them to be 90 minutes to 2 hours long each time, and so they had to add a lot of filler to some of them.
That's very bizarre.
It's very bizarre. I mean, it gives you some like weird stuff that, you know, Peter Falk is in his weird Columbo quirks give you, but it's just, unnecessary and doesn't make for good storytelling, but I guess they had to sell those TV ads or whatever.
Of course.
Anyway, this show, 8 hours earlier, we're in a space station.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're in
That's no moon. It's a space station. Actually, it's a space station in a moon.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
It is a space station in a moon. It is ShRRT and Rodney wandering around the station while Ronan and Tayla are hanging back in the jumper. There's no atmosphere, so they are wearing space suits walking around. ShRRT's already like, all right, let's get out of here. I'm bored. There's nothing here, which is a funny thing that I think Rodney does a lot on other planets where he's like, I don't see anything, let's go. But now it's Shepard's turn to be like, we're bored.
Indeed. Well, Rodney wants to check out the technology, but since there's no monsters or people to fight, Shepard is bored.
That's true. Rodney convinces Shepard, one more door. We'll just go through one more. It's going to be great. The technology they're finding is not very advanced. I think they liken it to like 60s-ish technology at some point.
They do.
So Shepard's not even seeing the value in that for Rodney, but Rodney is impressed that they built this thing, and it probably took a lot of resources, and they probably had a really good reason, and we should maybe find that out.
Yeah.
Shepard radios to Taylor and Ronan, I guess so that they can pile on how boring this is. They don't care either what is in this space station. And Taylor thinks maybe they should bring a team of scientists here instead of us.
I thought that was weird because Rodney is a scientist.
I know. But Rodney goes through that last door before Shepard makes him leave. And it's a control room, conveniently. They can see out the window of the control room there is a spaceship inside this hollowed out moon, as well as this station they're on. And now Shepard might be a little interested. A little. Rodney turns it on. Against Shepard's wishes.
I mean, if there's buttons and switches, Rodney's of course going to press and switch them.
Exactly. Rodney says he's going to get life support on in no time. It's going to be great. Then we can repressurize and not wear these damn suits. And we can't stop now, he says. We just cracked open the piñata. Then we hear some alarm going off. Rodney sees an energy spike on one of the displays that disappears immediately. And they're like, that energy signature seems frighteningly familiar, Rodney says. So let's look at the life signs detector. And Shepard says, they've got company. So they run into some other room where they've detected the life sign. And oh my God, there's some guy laying on the floor next to various devices. What's that about? We don't know yet. Credits.
Sometime later, Shepard is reporting back to Dr. Weir. And she's asking how that guy got there when they found no life signs initially. Of course, Shepard doesn't know that yet. They haven't really had any chance to look for answers. He just mentions that there was the energy spike that Rodney found, and then all of a sudden there were life signs.
Yeah, weird.
Rodney has seen those before because it was almost identical to Wraith beaming technology. So he thinks that this person was automatically reintegrated when Rodney was pushing buttons and brought the life support system back up. Weir is confused how they could have beaming technology when they had just told her how antiquated this ship seemed, because again, it was like equivalent to 1960s in the United States. Rodney also points out that they have some artificial gravity, so it might look old-timey, but they do have some pretty state-of-the-art technology there. Rodney needs a closer look to try to figure out exactly what is going on here. He thinks that maybe they were able to get access to a crashed dart and steal some technology from that, which he says would have been pretty brilliant. Weir asks what they're planning on doing with the person, which I thought was weird that she wasn't telling them what to do with the person. She asks what they intend to do with the person that we've assumed responsibility for. I would think that that should be her decision rather than
I would think
Shepard's.
so.
But whatever, here we are. They haven't thought that far ahead, and he's also not conscious, so who knows? But if there's one person that beamed out of nowhere, chances are there are other people that might beam out of nowhere. Taylor tells everybody at that point that he is waking up, and so they're going to call Dr. Weir back in about an hour. When this guy wakes up, whose name is apparently Herrick, Taylor tells him he's among friends, and he asks if the war is over. They don't know exactly what war he's talking about, of course, so they say that they are not from around here. And Taylor gently, nicely tells the guy that, I'm sorry, but we've scanned your planet. There are no other life signs aside from you, and it seems like it's probably been centuries since anybody was around. All that's down there is ruins and plant life. Herrick says that they had expected defeat, but that the computer was supposed to get him out of the system to automatically in order to restore everybody else. So they tell him that there was a problem with the computer and that it froze. And so that's why He's been in there for so long, however long it has been. Herrick asks about the other people in storage, and they didn't realize that there were other people in storage. So this is when he tells them that they have been using the Wraith beaming technology for long-term storage, which Rodney says is crazy, but it does seem to have worked out pretty well. I guess it seems that their engineers needed to do a little bit of modification to make it work to that end, but they got there eventually. So this place was basically just meant to beam everybody up, hide from the Wraith, and then try to restore what little they could of society after the Wraith had left. And they were going to take a shuttle back down to the surface, one of two, and ShRRT tells them, but there's only one shuttle out there, to which Herrick is very alarmed. He wants to see the pattern storage room immediately. So that's where they're going to go.
Yeah, it is. Or at least some of them. ShRRT and Ronan follow Herrick.
Yeah.
They get down there. Herrick continues to explain his situation. He says the second shuttle was supposed to launch out a few hours after theirs. He says Jamis gave him his word. Whoever that is, we don't know yet.
Nope.
Ronan thinks maybe the Wraith got them, and Herrick's like, no, they were ready to go. It was going to be all okay. He's pushing buttons on a console, which they just let him do. I mean, it's his thing.
I mean, presumably he belongs here, so...
Yeah. But maybe they ask questions before people do things. I don't know. Anyway, he says he's getting answers when ShRRT does ask him what he's doing, and he pops out another guy.
Peekaboo.
It's Jamis. He's not unconscious like Herrick was. He's just awake and ready to go.
Yeah, that's weird.
A little bit. Maybe Herrick, tripped.
Tripped and fell before he was beamed up.
Maybe.
Maybe. It's entirely possible.
Herrick is very upset with Jamis. He basically launches himself on him and is like, you gave me your word they would be here when I woke up. Rah! They pull Herrick off of Jamis. Herrick demands to know what happened to the second storage device, which is not there. And Jamis says that it took too long for them to launch the second shuttle. They couldn't go. Herrick is very, very, very upset because his family was on that shuttle.
Boo.
Which really, really sucks.
Yes.
He also, we find out, spent his entire life working on this project.
How long could that have been, though? This guy's not that old.
He's not that old, but later we do hear that literally generations of people have worked on this.
Oh, I missed that
I
somehow.
think they say 5 generations. It's crazy.
That's a lot.
Herrick is very upset at Jamis because Jamis personally promised that Herrick's family would be there. Unfortunately, though, what happened was they were waiting on people to get to the last shuttle, and they waited too long. And if they had launched anyway, even when the people finally arrived, the Wraith would have figured it out, and it would have all been for nothing. Yeah. So Jamis made a terrible decision in a terrible situation to sacrifice the one shuttle so that the other one would survive and their people would continue.
That the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Yeah.
Awful.
Quite.
Ronan is like, sounds like you were saving yourself. And Jamis is like, no, literally trying to save my civilization.
Yeah. I mean, yes, he did technically save himself, but if the Wraith had followed the second shuttle, then yeah, it would have all been for nothing.
Yeah. Rodney comes in to alert them that they've got another life sign and sees Jamis and is like, oh yeah, hi. I guess it's you. He also tells Jamis, you're welcome for powering up the station and waking him up. And Jamis is grateful, he says. Herrick, though, is like, we don't need these people. But ShRRT's like, we've got a ship. We're friendly people. We might be able to help you. However, what the shuttle doesn't have is a specific power supply to keep the storage device powered while transporting. So Herrick decides he's going to go start the shuttle so that presumably they'll bring the device down and start their civilization over again. However, he is very much telegraphing he is in a lot of grief and distress that they're not really picking up on enough.
Yeah.
He seemed like in really bad shape, and I was like, why are you letting this man wander around alone?
Doesn't seem like a great idea, but...
No.
I don't know what choice they would have had.
I know. Herrick leaves to work on that. Ronan doesn't want to leave him alone with Jamis because he thinks he'll kill Jamis, which, yes. They're going to keep Jamis company. They're going to keep an eye on Herrick, maybe. Rodney's going to go back to the control room. And we'll see what happens next.
In the control room, we can definitely see that Herrick is very upset as he's heading over to the control panel. He presses some buttons. Then he runs out of the room, races through the entire base, leaving all of the pressure hatches open behind him, which I hadn't really paid much attention to, but the transcripts want us to make sure that we noticed that.
I saw it. It was, yeah.
Fair. Meanwhile, Tayla is going from the jumper bay into the pattern storage room. She runs into Herrick and is trying to be kind to him and says she understands how difficult it must have been. She's lost a lot of loved ones to the Wraith as well, so she gets it. But Herrick says that what he feels was not caused by the Wraith. Tayla tries to offer any help that they can, but he tells them that she's done enough, and if they'd never come along, he never would have woken up, and so he wouldn't be in such anguish right now. So that's upsetting. Tayla calls after him as he continues on his way, but he, of course, does not stop. Rodney, meanwhile, is down the hallways, and Herrick walks past him and notices that he's not looking so good. Tayla agrees when she comes up to where Rodney is, but then heads back to the storage room, and Herrick continues on his way.
Yeah. I think I noticed the door thing because there was a shot where you could see both behind him and Tayla in both directions, the entire corridor down, and I was like, that's cool that they showed that.
Gotcha.
Then we're back with Jamis and ShRRT. Jamis is working on the storage device, and he says that they spent longer in there than they intended, but it looks like everyone's in there and okay. So that's good news. Tayla comes in and tells ShRRT she's concerned about Herrick, and that Herrick had warned them they should leave. Jamis is like, yeah, he's distraught. He'll be fine when we get down to the planet. No big deal. But that's enough of a warning for ShRRT to be like, all right, let's go check this situation out. They tell Jamis to stay there. And ShRRT and Ronan head out to find Herrick.
Indeed. And now it is more obvious that he's intentionally opening all of the pressure hatches. He's not just leaving them open as he goes, but he is opening pressure hatches everywhere he finds them as he continues. And an alarm starts going off in the control room. Rodney sees what he's doing and calls to him to ask what is going on, because this is very strange behavior. Meanwhile, Herrick has reached the shuttle. He's not actually on the shuttle, but he's at the back of this space station that is facing the shuttle. Rodney again radios to him to ask what he's doing. We get a shot of Herrick sitting down in the pilot seat and starting to activate the controls, this being despite the fact that the shuttle is still anchored in place. Rodney frantically calls to ShRRT to say that they need to get to Herrick right now and get him out of there and stop what he's doing. And then radios to Herrick, if you are doing what I think you're doing. But we don't get to hear what Rodney was going to say because Herrick turns off his communication. The engines are fully fired up. Herrick gets back out and starts climbing down the ladder. Rodney tells everybody to hang on because of the engines being fired up. Jamis wants to know what's happening, and Rodney says that the outer doors aren't going to hold. You need to shut your hatches to all compartments, every single one of them, while Rodney is watching as the shuttle's engines build up to full power. So everyone gets to whatever room they're in, heads over to the door, and tries to close the door before some shit starts going down. So basically, the blasting engines take out Herrick, and the rest of the base isn't doing so well either. ShRRT and Ronan... See, this made no sense to me because they were trying so hard to get the door closed as all of the air was being sucked out into space because this shuttle blasted a hole into the area where Herrick had been standing. But if it was pulling air out into space, why did they have to try so hard to push the door shut? It should have been sucked closed because this door opened inside, like towards them. So it should have been pulled shut as soon as the air started getting pulled out. But no, for whatever reason, it takes all of the strength that they have. They get not sucked out the door, but they actually get blown back away from the door and both hit the wall, and Ronan like passes out for a second. So This made no sense.
They just did it for the drama.
Yeah. This made absolutely no sense why they're making it look like air is blasting into the room where they are instead of being sucked out of the room where they are. But they portray a similar pattern in all of the other rooms. Like, Taylor's actually like knocked against some containers as she's blown it further into the room. So why is everyone getting further blown into the room? This really annoyed me very much. That the space shuttle is supposedly venting and yet everyone is getting blown backwards away from the doors somehow. But here we are. That's what's going on. So everybody is struggling to try to get their doors closed, even though, again, all of these doors opened in towards the rooms that they were in and should have been sucked shut. But here we are. Eventually, everyone gets their doors closed after all of this struggle that shouldn't happen.
Yes, they do.
Yep. And then we see that the moon has shifted orbit, and now it's heading down towards the planet.
Yay.
Yay.
We also saw the puddle jumper get sucked out of the moon,
Oh, right.
too.
Yep, good call. Forgot to mention that one. That's important. They did lose the puddle jumper.
Great.
Yep.
So good.
Yep.
This pissed me off so much. I was so mad at that character.
Well, yeah, because I get you're sad. I get you're mad at Jamis, but because you're sad, you try to kill 1,000 people.
Yeah.
That's just super shitty. Obviously. It's just garbage. So,
very much.
Yeah, terrible all around. Made me angry on multiple levels, both because the science was wrong and also because he was sad, so he tried to kill everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
I did feel sorry for him. Don't feel sorry for him now.
Felt sorry for him initially, not so much when he decided to not just take himself out, but everyone else with him.
Yeah. Then we're in the aftermath of this wonderful thing. They all radio each other to make sure they all survived this. Rodney gets in touch with Shepard, who says he's still there. Rodney says his reading showed their compartment was almost completely vented, so yay.
Yeah, which makes,
right,
again, no sense based on the way they were acting, as though it was hard to close the door.
Yeah. Shepard checks on Ronan, who wakes up. He's in pain. Seems like he's hurt his shoulder, something fierce. They get Taylor. She's okay. She says Jamis is injured, though, and needs medical attention. But that's not going to happen right away. Shepard asks Rodney what happened, and Rodney reports Herrick just tried to kill them all and killed himself. Rodney says, though, chances are he has succeeded for many reasons. So Rodney starts to talk about the problems they're having. He first mentions that all of the compartments between them are in a vacuum, so the only place that has atmosphere are the ones they're in, and they cannot get to one another. Rodney has more, but he's got to take a moment, he says, to figure out how screwed they are, and he'll get back to Shepard.
In the pattern storage room with Jamis and Taylor, Jamis asks about Herrick. He was unconscious. Now he has regained his consciousness. He's bleeding through his face. That seems bad.
Yeah.
Presumably, I think it's actually specifically his nose that he's bleeding out of, which is not great, but Taylor does tell him that he took his own life and tried to kill everybody else in the process. Jamis somehow doesn't understand why he would do that. It's pretty obvious what would be the impetus for that, as wrong as his behavior was. He wants to know how the device is doing, and she tells him that it seems to be intact. Out wherever Shepard and Ronan have ended up, Ronan was also unconscious. Shepard tells him not to move because his shoulder's dislocated, and they need to wait until some actual medical attention can be given, but they don't have Dr. Beckett here yet, so hang on there. But instead, Ronan gets up and anchors his arm in the wheel of the bay door and then just twists away from it real quick while his arm is stuck in it, and that puts his shoulder back in place. So, it seemed agonizing.
Yeah.
But it did the job. Shepard says that was disturbing, and Ronan says, I don't like to wait. Over the radio, Rodney tells them that it's time for the how screwed we are report. So Rodney goes on to tell them that they don't have a way to seal any of the compartments between all of them. They're all separated from each other by empty vacuum of space, basically, and there's no way to seal any compartments to make it possible to travel between them.
Ooh, that's bad.
There's just too many hatches left open. So Rodney's going to have to suit up and head out there to see what he can do as far as damage control goes. Shepard says that doesn't sound too bad, but Rodney's not done yet.
That's good.
He tells everybody about the moon being knocked out of orbit and now heading down towards the planet.
That's bad.
ShRRT asks how much time they have, and Rodney asks before we burn up or before we suffocate, because we're also on emergency power and running out of life support at this point. So that's also bad.
That's bad.
And most of what little power they do have left is being channeled towards the storage device that all the people are in. So ShRRT says, I don't know, pick one, burning up or suffocating. How long do we have? But Rodney says, again, he's not done yet. They've also lost their jumper, as we mentioned before. So everything's bad.
Can I go now?
ShRRT has confidence that Weir will send a rescue team to them in time, so he's not too concerned yet. But Rodney does say that they don't have a whole lot of time left. The moon was already in a pretty low orbit to begin with, and so they're already starting to skim the outer atmosphere. And so that's going to make them slow down even faster. So ShRRT just tells Rodney to think of a brilliant plan, because it's what he does best. But meanwhile, use as little oxygen to do it as possible. So that's what Rodney's going to do. Try to figure out a brilliant Rodney solution.
Yeah. Back in the storage device room, Jamis is talking to Taylor. He says he's sorry for what happened. He did give the order that ended Herrick's family, but Taylor says now you just made a difficult decision. And Jamis is hoping that the 1,000 people left can still be saved, so hopefully it will have been the right run if that happens.
The Frogurt is also cursed.
Then we're back with ShRRT and Ronan. Ronan is pacing because he does not like sitting still, as we know, and waiting for anything. He does not want to sit and wait to die, most definitely. He also doesn't like small spaces.
Nobody else likes sitting and waiting to die either. It seemed weird to me that he had to point out that he's just not good at this.
No.
Not good at waiting to die. Who is?
Me!
Nobody.
Yeah.
Ronan would rather die fighting, he says, and ShRRT tells him he'd rather not die. But he does make a deal with Ronan that if it seems they're going to burn up in the atmosphere, he'll fight Ronan to the death. And that cheers up Ronan slightly.
Yes. Rodney has made his way to the control room and is checking systems out. He has his helmet off, so apparently when he sealed himself in there, he was able to get some life support going in there. And then he sees something floating towards the big window looking out into space, so that seems bad. He tells ShRRT over the radio that he's got a problem there. The thing hits the window, and Rodney seems relieved. He apparently expected the thing to just completely take out the window. It didn't. Rodney is delighted that he's still alive, but then when a crack starts opening in the window, Rodney says, nope, I'm dead. He tries to rapidly put his helmet back on and get the hell out of the room before the windshield gives out and he gets sucked out into space. Or, shoved further back in the room as the physics may be in this moon.
Right.
So he very lightly holds on to the wheel of the hatch. He doesn't have time to try to get out of this room. Everything gets sucked out when the glass breaks, but even though he only seemed to have a pretty light grip on the floor, his feet didn't lift up. It really took minimal effort for him to prevent himself from being sucked out into the vacuum of space. So, neat.
Yeah.
And then once that's done, he opens the hatch and goes back out into the hall, which is presumably, I'm going to assume, still without any atmosphere in it. Otherwise, the entire physics of that scene wouldn't have worked either.
Science is whatever we want it to be.
Rodney tells ShRRT that they lost the control room, but ShRRT says it didn't seem like it controlled much anyway. So Rodney's going to keep looking around to see if he can figure out a way to seal all of the compartments between them. Because, it'd be nice to be together as we burn up. ShRRT chastises him for being so negative. He says, you're right, fine, I'll be together until we get rescued. Sure, whatever. I always confuse the two.
We get an outside shot of the moon getting closer to the planet. And then we see Rodney working on the doors. He finds one that's closed-ish, but won't close all the way. He cannot seal all the compartments because of that. He says it looks like the entire bulkhead was twisted when Sammy Suicide decided to fire up his rocket ship, which was just a funny way to put that, kind of.
Also disturbing.
Yes.
It's suicide in a bit of a lighter
note
than it should be taken.
So he's going to try to work on it anyway, because as ShRRT tells him, they're going to need that hatch closed. which he knows. Then we have a quick Atlantis scene where Dr. Weir is asking Chuck Nishin if it's been over an hour now, really, since we haven't heard from them. And Chuck Nishin is like, yes. So Weir says, we're time to dial. And they do.
Indeed.
Weir gets in touch with Shepard. He can hear her, says her timing is perfect, and get Beckett over here right now. And some rescue equipment and teams.
Also a jumper, maybe.
And maybe, hopefully they're coming in a jumper.
I don't think they could get everything over there without a jumper, yes.
So how did they find this place? So
No idea.
I assumed the Stargate was on the planet, I think, based on something someone said at one point.
Oh, I was assuming that the Stargate was in space.
Yeah, so if it's a space gate, that makes sense, because they could probably detect the thing, but maybe I'm just
I
wrong.
assumed when they were talking about what's on the surface of the planet that they had just done scans.
Okay.
And hadn't actually checked it out in person.
Gotcha. Okay. Shepard reports they've got themselves in a damaged moon base in a decaying orbit, cut off from each other, and they lost the jumper, so help? And Weir's like, all right, we're going to help. Yeah. And Ronan says, hurry.
We actually do see that there is a space gate in this next scene.
Okay.
They actually do show the puddle jumper coming through a space gate.
Oh, right.
As it arrives.
Whoops.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Me too.
Lauren is there, and also some random guy that I don't think we've ever seen before and probably won't ever see again. Not because he dies, but just because he's like not there for the rest of the episode once he drops Lauren off. It's weird. Lauren radios Shepard to let him know that they're there. Beckett, of course, is in there too with them. Shepard tells them that they're going to have to use the jumper's cloak and turn that into a shield and try to extend that around the space station to create a seal around the whole thing. And Lauren says that they're already on it. Beckett wants to know how his patient is doing, and Jamis is not in great shape. Shepard asks everybody if they've heard the report from Lauren and Beckett, and of course they did because they're all on the same radio channel. And they're all glad to hear that rescue is here, as is a doctor. Jamis asks if it's going to be possible to save all of his people that are still stored. Tayla tells him that she's not so sure about that, but Jamis says that it must be. There's over 1,000 souls in that device, and his entire race is going to be gone forever if they don't manage to save any of those people. Tayla radios out to Rodney, who's in some hallway somewhere trying to fix some damage to a hatch. He says he doesn't really have time to talk right now, but Tayla says that it's a matter of great importance to Jamis. She needs to know if they're going to be able to take the storage device with them. And he says, nope, not a chance. There's just absolutely no way internal batteries would run out in half the time it would take him to patch in some kind of a power source. So yeah, there's really not any option to do that before the decaying orbit that they're in crashes into the planet. So Tayla says, great, excellent chance. I'm happy to hear that. Rodney is very confused and is like, did you not just hear me? But Tayla again insists Jamis will be happy to hear this. So of course she's trying to put on a brave face for him because he's injured and distraught. Wasn't sure if that was a good idea or a bad idea.
I'm not sure, because I'm not sure either way would change the outcome or what he chooses to do.
Yeah, but is it a good idea to try to give someone false hope, or is it better to just be honest with them?
Maybe she thought he was imminently going to die and felt better about it than if he weren't about to die.
I guess.
I don't know. I mean, that's what Herrick wanted. He would have been happy just to stay in stasis and never know about his family dying before he woke up and died himself.
True.
But Jamis seems to have a better grasp of things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that he was as directly affected by the second ship not getting there as Herrick was.
Also true. Lorne and the puddle jumper dock. Yay.
Yay.
With the space station. So they can get in now. So we then see he and Beckett walking through the station in their spacesuits. They come upon Rodney, who is still trying to close that hatch, and Lorne is like, hey man, how about we work on this for you? And Rodney is very relieved. Lorne is very like, I'm here to rescue you, not a problem, we'll take care of this, we got you, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why he seems to think everything's going to be easier for him than it was for them.
Yeah, I mean, they do have more equipment, I guess, and more people, but it's just a weird vibe I was getting from Lorne.
Do they have more people, though? Because it seemed to just be Lorne, the random pilot guy, and Beckett.
That's more people than Rodney in a corridor.
I suppose. But it's just now Lorne in a corridor.
That's true.
Because I think the pilot guy, like I said, we never see him again, so I don't know where he is.
He just burns up in the rock.
Yeah.
Lauren tells Rodney to head back to the jumper, and Rodney's like, we don't leave our people behind. And Lauren's like, we're not leaving. You're just going to the jumper so you can do some more assessing of the situation. Like how long we have until we all burn up. And Rodney's like, oh, okay, yes, I will go do that. And so he heads off, and Lauren gets to work on the door.
Indeed. Back in the pattern storage room, Dr. Beckett gets there. They're trying to repressurize the corridor outside of the pattern storage room so that he can go in and help them. So he's waiting for that. Taylor goes over and tells Jamis that the rescuers have arrived and they're going to be able to get out of there soon. Jamis is still focused just on the device, though. And Taylor assures him they're going to do everything in their power to try to save everybody on there. Jamis starts telling her about the important people that are in there, such as their greatest living poet and their best scientists, and also around 200 children. So he tells Taylor that she's got to promise him that they're going to save everybody on there. Taylor is rather horrified to realize that there's a bunch of kids on there, since she knows that as of now there's no way to rescue any of those people.
And now, because the children are our future.
So she says she wishes she could promise, but she cannot.
No.
Lauren comes to join Dr. Beckett outside and has managed to fix that damaged hatch, so they are repressurizing the station right now. And I guess he's checking the pressure on some device thingy that he's got on his wrist somehow, because he looks at his wrist and then says, okay, we're good to go. So they are able to open the hatch and head in to be with Taylor and Jamis. Meanwhile, Rodney gets on the radio and tells everybody that they are getting dangerously close to the planet's atmosphere. I thought they were already skimming the atmosphere, so...
I thought so too.
Yeah. But anyway, Rodney says they're not going to survive another orbit around the planet.
Yay.
Yeah. So Taylor tells Jamis that it's time to leave. She helps him up on his feet, and he starts going along with her. And because she's not expecting this injured guy that she's trying to help to steal her gun, he manages to steal her gun.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
She asks what he's doing, and he tells her that he cannot allow her to leave, or anybody to leave, until she can ensure the safety of his people.
Outside the room, Beckett's like, Taylor, okay, you can open the hatch now. ShRRT and Ronan reach Beckett as well. Beckett informs them that the hatch is not open and it's locked from the inside, so ShRRT radios to Taylor to open up the door, and Taylor's like, I can't. Jamis has my sidearm and won't let me leave until we find a way to save his people. ShRRT says, tell him we'll try, and she's like, I already did that. He is skeptical. So ShRRT orders Taylor to put Jamis on the radio, so she takes out a radio and turns it on so they can hear, since they're not always usually just talking through their earpieces. But now we hear ShRRT through the radio talking to Jamis. He says they would definitely save his people if they could, but we don't have the time for this. But we can still save you, so just open the door. Jamis, though, is unconvinced.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
He doesn't care that they were there to help. He doesn't care that they're going to burn up in the atmosphere. He doesn't care that he's going to die. Beckett's like, if you don't open this door, you'll die. And he's like, I will die with my people then. What are you going to do about it? So ShRRT's like, okay, let Taylor out, and then you can die with your people. But Jamis is not going to do that. ShRRT puts on some sunglasses and starts cutting through the door with the torch. Jamis says there's nothing more to talk about. Taylor says that sacrificing his own life will not save his people. Taylor argues that if he lives, he'll be able to tell the tale of his people, basically. This is when we learn Jamis says that 5 generations built this station. So this is everything to him. They fought a war, he said, that they knew they could not win, so that there would be a future. Taylor is like, you knew you couldn't win? He said they realized if there were no survivors, the Wraith would not come back. So they destroyed their own planet, killed the rest of their people.
With nuclear weapons.
Stored these few so they could restart their civilization without any worry the Wraith would come back. It's so fucked up. It's
It
so
really
desperate. Like, my God.
Maybe if we screw this planet up enough, they won't want it anymore.
Tayla's horrified. She's like, you killed your own people. He said, we killed the Wraith. We killed the Wraith with our atomic weapons. But they also killed all their own people.
Yep. They knew that the radioactive cloud would spread over every continent, he does mention.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is awful, horrible. And Jameis is like, yeah, and I'm not letting you go. Your life is all I have to bargain with. That's it.
It does answer the question that I had earlier that I did not actually express, which was why there was only plant life left on the planet and no animal life. And presumably that would be because they were all also taken out by the nuclear weapons.
Very sad.
Indeed.
As ShRRT is outside continuing to torch the door, Tayla continues to try to reason with Jameis. She's like, if you shoot me, they're going to kill you. Again, if you live, the memory of your people will live. And if you die, everybody dies and no one will know anything about your people. And Jameis says, I don't want to take your life. I never intended to. I'm hoping that ShRRT is sincere in his statement that he will leave no one behind. And Jameis is pushing buttons on the device. Jameis yells through the door to ShRRT so that he can stop blowtorching. He's ready to open the door. So they're like, great, cool. You're going to show me your weapon. Your hands are going to be in the air and no messing around. So Jameis unlocks the door, presumably. We don't see him do it. We're only seeing this from ShRRT's side. The door starts to open. Radio MacKay.
You really want to call him Radio MacKay. You do that frequently. It's hilarious.
This is a new name.
Yeah.
You'll just start calling him Radio.
Yep.
Rodney radios to ShRRT that he's got another power surge and what's going on. And when they get inside, there is no Tayla, there is no Jameis. They are sucked in the device.
Indeed.
So they ain't leaving Tayla behind. We know that.
Nope. Of course not. We get a quick view of outer space just to see that the moon, I guess it's not really outer space because we're at the atmosphere at this point, but we get a view outside of the moon sinking closer and closer to the planet. And then we are back in the pattern storage room. Rodney is working on the device. ShRRT and Ronan are there. And there is no way that he's going to be able to get her out. If he had a few hours, he'd be able to, but really the only thing he could do at this point would be to randomly beam people out one by one. And the odds that he would just happen to be able to beam Tayla out in that are obviously not that great. A-Lorne comes in and tells them that it's time to go, but ShRRT just wants another minute. A-Lorne tells them that they don't have that. So ShRRT asks to have the thing disconnected. Rodney tells them that there isn't a compatible power source on the jumper, but ShRRT wasn't planning on leaving in the jumper at this point. He is going to take one of the shuttles. The shuttle. The only shuttle, presumably, that is there, since they did mention the other one had not made it. So even though Rodney is insistent this isn't going to work, ShRRT is insistent that this is the only way that they have. He's going to go suit up while Rodney gets this thing moved out to the shuttle, presumably with the help of Ronan and other strong people. And he makes that an order, so Rodney stops trying to argue.
They start to wheel the device through the station. Lauren is talking to Ronan and Rodney saying, this is crazy. That thing's hundreds of years old. The ship is out of fuel. They're mostly talking about how crazy ShRRT is in trying to do this. Rodney comes to tell him he's all set, and once he's inside the shuttle, it'll be easy to get the device into the receptacle. So at least it's a plug-and-play situation for that thing, at least.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it makes sense since they used it to get it up there to begin with.
Yeah. Rodney, once more, tries to tell ShRRT not to do this. He says it's impossible. ShRRT's like, you want to bet a week's wages on that? But Rodney's like, how are you going to pay if I win, huh? Which is a very Rodney thing to say.
Yes.
ShRRT is like, all right, you go do your thing. Keep your distance. I'll try to maintain radio contact. Ronan says, you still owe me a fight to the death, remember? And ShRRT closes his helmet and says, I look forward to that, which was all muffled, which I thought was fun. I don't know.
Yes.
I like the muffled effect. Yeah.
It was good. Yes.
Yeah.
We get a quick scene of everybody else in the jumper, and actually we do get one more brief view of that captain guy piloting the thing before. So, yes, apparently he is still hanging out in there. A-Lorne tells the guy to get them out of there, so they head out, and then we are in the shuttle with ShRRT. He's keeping everyone updated over the radio about what he's doing. He says that the device is locked in place, the internal power is going to it automatically, so that's good. He's closing the rear hatch, and he'll see everybody on the ground. You can see the jumper pulling away from the dock, and Lauren wishes him good luck. ShRRT starts climbing up the ladder to get into the little control module. Lauren tells him that they are clear, so everything is all set for him to start taking off here. Rodney tells him that with the moon continuing to decelerate at a more rapid pace in the upper atmosphere, ShRRT's really only got a couple minutes to figure out the controls, but ShRRT says that it's pretty straightforward. It doesn't look too different from things that he's used to, which I guess is good.
Sure.
Coincidence that everyone makes their control panels the same. And of course, they're going to lose radio contact as soon as he gets into the atmosphere, which ShRRT is already aware of. As ShRRT now is starting to try to pilot the shuttle, he tells them that he's getting some choppiness as the shuttle starts shaking. Rodney tells him, disengage now? Maybe? But that doesn't seem to be working. He gives it another try, and nope, still doesn't work. The disengage commands that he is sending to it are just not working. He says that the bolts that are holding him in place that are supposed to blow when he hits the disengage are not releasing. So now we're back to the beginning scene, which they inserted for seemingly no reason, where ShRRT is talking about how he's going to have to ride this one in.
Oh, boys! I'm back!
They don't really have any radio contact with him anymore, I'm guessing at this point, because Ronan asks what's happening, and Rodney has it figured that he can't separate the ship, so he thinks that ShRRT's going to burn up inside the moon as the moon gets closer and closer to the planet and eventually crashes into it. Back with ShRRT, the shuttle continues to shake more and more, and the bracket that's holding it in place, the entire station inside, starts to disintegrate as big chunks of rock are starting to break off the moon and pieces of metal are being broken. ShRRT is very worried. And we see that the moon is continuing to fall down through the atmosphere and catching on fire. There's debris flying off everywhere. And then suddenly, Rodney sees that Rodney sees that the shuttle has taken off. So apparently all of that shaking and debris and disintegration was enough that the shuttle was able to break free and is now also hurtling towards the planet, but not inside the moon anymore. So that's good. Yay. There's all kinds of alarms and stuff going off that ShRRT is trying to deal with. Meanwhile, in the jumper, everyone is continuing to watch and try to figure out exactly what's going on. They can see the shuttle, but there's a big trail of smoke behind it. Eventually, ShRRT manages to take the thing down into a crash landing, and it goes skidding along the planet, and he's thrown in the windshield and passes out.
End of ShRRT.
End of ShRRT, indeed. So Lauren, of course, gives the order to try to get as close to that crash site as possible so that they can try to go recover ShRRT and the device. They don't know if ShRRT is still alive yet.
ShRRT? Is that... you're alive?
But all of a sudden, Rodney picks up some beeping and tells everybody that he's detecting one life sign. ShRRT does start to wake back up and tells Rodney that he owes him a week of pay. Rodney says, technically, I didn't take that bet, so no. And Lauren tells him that they are on their way.
Then we're in the Atlantis infirmary, so everyone got back. Yay!
Woo!
Tayla's in bed with ShRRT, Weir, and Beckett around. ShRRT's like, I had the bad landing, but she gets the bed rest. But Tayla's like, I'm fine. But Beckett insisted. Beckett reports that, well, one, we learned that they were able to reintegrate these people who were in the storage device. That's great.
Oh, how convenient!
Yay.
He reports that some of them are experiencing small memory loss, so he's just looking out for Tayla. Wants to make sure she's okay.
I mean, to be fair, though, they've been in there way longer than she was.
Very true. Weir says to ShRRT, I assume you're here to have your head examined for doing your crazy stunt. And he's like, I did it. What do you want? Weir says she's going back to Stargate operations because they are going to drop off supplies for Jameis's people. So it seems like things are going well and they have some new friends. Shepard wants to know what they're going to do with Jameis. However, we learn he did not survive being beamed out of the device. So he sacrificed himself for his people.
Yep. I mean, he might have died anyway because it was specifically his injuries that were the reason he didn't survive the reintegration,
True.
they say.
But I mean, like, he was injured going in, so he did sacrifice himself with his injuries. Like, I'm not saying he deliberately did it, but he did it. He wasn't like, oh, despite my injuries, I will save my people.
I am wounded!
Taylor says he did what you or I would have done. Shepard's mad, though. He's like, he held you hostage and almost got us all killed. And Taylor says he tried to save his people, and he succeeded through Shepard. And Shepard's like, I didn't do it for him. And she's like, I know. He says, though, don't feel special. I would have done it for any of you. Except for Rodney. But Taylor does not believe that. She thinks he would save Rodney, too. And Shepard says maybe. And we all know he would totally save Rodney.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Rodney's saved all of them often enough.
So many times. And that's the end of the episode.
End of episode. Did you like the episode?
I'm having a hard time saying I liked the episode because I'm so mad about the situation that it just ruined it a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting and wild to hear about the way these people went about dealing with the Wraith.
Right.
Just horrifying. But yeah, I can't say I liked it. How about you?
Yeah, same. It wasn't a bad episode. It was a good enough episode for all of the main characters, but as I mentioned, the physics really annoyed me. And there were a few other incidences too where they acted like the wind was being sucked in the wrong direction and acted more like it was being blown in rather than sucked out in a couple other incidences than just the one that I mentioned. So that kept annoying me. And then, yeah, both of the people from this planet had done some really shitty things. One because he was distraught when he woke up, and the other just, those were some shitty things to allow the entire planet to be destroyed to just try to save a couple thousand people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a hard episode to like. I didn't necessarily dislike it, but I can't really say I liked it either.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it kept my attention well enough. It was pretty interesting and exciting from that standpoint, but not exactly likable.
Yeah. Yeah. They do talk about how their prominent residents get in the container, but then it just makes me think of all the people who don't have power and influence to be able to survive these things. And it makes me sad.
Yep.
And then I wonder if their society would have rewarded all the rich people by letting them buy their way on.
Surely so.
Because that's a thing people do.
It
anyway.
is, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, hard to like.
Yes.
What are we going to talk about next? Will we like it?
Who knows? Next is Season 10, Episode 17, Talion? Talion? Talion?
Oh. Talion?
Maybe.
Ta-lion?
Who knows?
Talion? Yeah.
Jeff tells me that the last episode, the Bad Guys episode, is when they found out that the show wasn't going to be renewed. So that probably explains why they were taking their time wrapping up this storyline. So I'm guessing they're going to try to wrap things up really rapidly in 4 seasons because they were probably assuming they were having another season to wrap it up.
Gotcha.
Which was definitely way too long of a story arc for this story, I think. But
yeah,
we'll see what happens. According to the booklet, barely surviving the bombing massacre of a peaceful Jaffa summit, Teal'c must go rogue to track down and stop a Jaffa leader named Arkad, who plans to take control of the Jaffa nation and deliver them to the Ori. Neat.
Yeah.
According to TVDB, when a terrorist attack decimates a Jaffa summit, Teal'c strikes out on a quest for revenge, believing that the perpetrator is one of his own pupils. Sounds Star Wars-esque.
Interesting. Yeah. Teal'c revenge quest.
Who doesn't love a good revenge story?
Oh, yeah. Super fond. It always goes really well for people.
Yeah.
Doing revenge. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
some people.
Goes pretty well for John Wick.
True.
Ultimately.
That is very true.
But generally, no, it doesn't work out very well.
I mean, you can't kill a man's puppy.
No, I can't blame him at all for what he did after that. Because exactly, you can't kill someone's puppy.
No.
That's That's fucked up.
Yep.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Thank you so much for listening to Stargazing with Kathy and Mary. Our fully listener-supported program couldn't be done without you. Show your support by telling everyone you know how awesome this show is. Find us at stargazing.space. Reach us by email, stargazing@gmail.com. Find us on social media at Blue Sky. Get some merch, tinyurl/stargazing. And finally, show your financial support at patreon.com/stargazing. Thank you for traveling through the gate with us. Catch you next time on Stargazing with Kathy and Mary.
I'm Mary.
I'm Kathy.
And you've been listening to Stargazing, the end.
The end. Whew.
So close and yet so far.